Seriously, the toll that this has taken on my skin. Okay, so I probably have a little bit residual there, but hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alexandra. If you are new, you can call me Alex, but only if you're new. Everyone who already knows me needs to call me Alexandra by my full name. Just kidding. Anyway, so today I am going to be comparing, I guess I'm sort of comparing them. I'm going to be showing you the best foundations for light olive skin. Fair light olive skin. We're kind of going to go through like different shades, it depends, whatever. Hopefully this will help you choose a color. I know it's so impossible because green people are people too, man. And there just are not that many olive foundations. There just aren't. But I have comprised this list and they're pretty good. So before we get into it, I just really quickly want to go over this little theory that I have about balance within with using different makeup products. So for example, if I have a foundation that I love and I love the formula, whatever, that's what I want to use, and it tends to be a little bit too yellow for my skin, I want to balance that out using a more neutral concealer and maybe a slightly more neutral like bronzer, because it's going to be much more flattering and natural looking than if you go in with like a very yellow foundation, a very yellow concealer, and then maybe like, I don't know, a foundation or a bronzer that's way too warm. So there are like a few different tricks that you can do to make your makeup look like it flows better with your actual skin color. It is really tough. No foundation, no concealer is going to match you perfectly, but you can get real close. So the point of this video is to show you the foundations that will be like super duper close. I'm hoping that it helps you. I did mention this at the end of the video, but I am going to be doing another separate video to show you how to make any foundation work for your skin tone. Yeah, I know. Literally magic. All right, guys, so let's jump into it. All right, so I'm going to be showing you one side of my face with each of these foundations so that you can kind of like compare how they might work for your skin. My skin's gonna take a beating for this, so say some prayers. My #1 favorite foundation, and also the color that I really enjoy, this is the Foundation X Plus from Natasha Denona. It's more expensive, you know, it's Natasha Denona. This is the shade 10Y Fair. So this foundation is slightly more on the neutral side, but it works really nicely with my coloring, especially once I have like the rest of my foundation done, or my makeup done, I mean. So a nice tip is to just kind of like, if you have a foundation that doesn't match you perfectly, if it's maybe a little bit more neutral, taking it down your neck a bit is going to help blend it into your skin, because it is really hard to find a foundation that's going to match perfectly. This is slightly light, but once I blend it like out onto the rest of my skin, I go in with my like bronzer and my powders and that stuff. It really, it works really nicely. I might as well put it all over my dark circles. What I love about this formula is that it's super lightweight. It's a little bit more of a matte to natural finish. Putting it all over my eye, which I would never do because I only ever use concealer there, but you know, whatever. So hopefully you can see that it's like a pretty decent color. It's slightly light for my face, but if you compare it to my neck, it doesn't look like too neutral or pink or anything like that. It actually blends really nicely. In terms of formula and color, this is probably my favorite foundation, but it is a little bit more expensive. All right, next up is the Hello Happy concealer. I just did a video about concealer, so now I don't even know what I'm talking about. Next up is the Hello Happy foundation. This is a soft blur foundation. This is in #2. It's like maybe slightly on the darker shade, and it's pretty yellow, maybe a little bit more neutral. I really like using this foundation in the summertime because it's not super dewy. It is a little bit darker. Whoa. I feel like it's so much darker than it used to be. Shit, this may have oxidized. It's a little bit darker, a little bit more on the neutral side compared to the Natasha Denona foundation. And the finish, or the color itself might have like a tiny bit more orange in it, but I think the finish is actually really nice. So I think you can probably see from like this view right here, it's a little bit dark, and you can actually see maybe a little bit too much yellow and too much orange in it. So if your skin is slightly darker than mine, you can probably get away with this shade a little bit better. But this is number 2, and I believe that number 1 is very pink. That's where things get tricky. It's definitely more orange, huh? This is always educational for me as well. I kind of get to see like how my foundations compare. All right, guys, next up is the Revlon Candid Why do I keep saying concealer? Oh my God, get it together. Foundation. This is in the shade 120. This is supposed to be a natural finish and anti-pollution foundation. This is actually like a really nice color for olive skin. This is like almost legit. The only thing is it's like a little bit more of a thick formula. That was way too much, holy shit. But as far as the color goes, especially for a drugstore foundation, it's like almost perfect. It has such a nice amount of olive in it. It's not too pink, it's not too yellow. It's almost like a neutral olive. So it's more of a matte finish because it is like a slightly thicker, more moussey formula. This is one of my new favorite foundations for like summertime because my skin tends to get a little bit more oily. It's definitely a full coverage. This feels so weird, like not putting concealer underneath my eyes. But as far as the color goes, it is almost perfect. Especially for like drugstore, it's so amazing. And it's like such a nice, natural looking like full coverage finish. It depends on what kind of a finish you're looking for. If you don't really like full coverage because the formula is thicker, so if you want to manipulate it a little bit more, you can mix it with like a lotion, or you can kind of like, I don't know, sheer it out using your like primer. So that's nice. It's a little bit more versatile, but in terms of the color, perfection. I would say it's ever so slightly more neutral, but it's so close to being like perfect for my skin tone. So this is like probably in terms of the color, the winner. Drugstore. Like, are you kidding me? It's so close. All right, guys, next up, I want to show you the Becca Ultimate Coverage Foundation. This is, wow, all the stuff came off. This is in the shade Shell. It's a little bit light, I think, but another really great shade is in the shade Buff. So if you're comparing the two of them, this one okay, that's fine. So if you're comparing the two of them, you can kind of see that this one maybe looks a little bit more on the yellow side. This is Buff, and this is like slightly more neutral, but this is very light, and this is like maybe a little bit too dark. So I'm actually going to apply this and just kind of see how it goes, but I might have to like mix the two to get like my perfect shade. What did I say this was? Shell? So let's try Shell. Okay, seriously? Like with all the things? The formula is thicker. It's definitely more of a full coverage foundation. It's sort of similar-ish, maybe a little bit more creamy than the Revlon Candid Concealer. Oh my God, if I say concealer one more time. Foundation. This is a very full coverage foundation with slightly more of a radiant finish when you compare it to the Candid foundation. Almost said concealer again. And it's a little bit more on the yellow side now that I'm like applying it and looking at it. This is actually a really nice shade. It's not actually too light. It might be like a shade too light, but I think once I had like my bronzer on, it would all work out. And actually, like when I kind of like look back at it, it's pretty close. The reason that I kind of like sit back and do this is because my neck and my chest are very olive. So I want to see like how it's going to compare to like the rest of my skin. But this shade is actually really, really nice, especially if you are like super fair. And then if you have more, like if you're fair and then if you have more like light skin, then I would definitely give Buff a shot. But it is a little bit more warm, like it definitely has more yellow in it. So if you're gonna use this shade, you might wanna use a slightly more neutral colored concealer and or bronzer so that you're kind of like balancing out that yellow. It's definitely more matte too. I had oatmeal for breakfast. What did you have? By the way, I'm priming my face with the Glossier Priming Rich Moisturizer, just in case you were wondering. All right, next up, Studio Box. Studio Box! What? Smashbox Studio Skin, full coverage, 24-hour, not concealer, foundation. This is in the shade, whoa, this is in the shade 1.05. Skin tone, fair. Undertone, warm olive. What? All right, so might be a little bit yellow. I have used this before. I would say that this is a little bit more on the yellow side. It is full coverage, kind of similar-ish to the Becca foundation as in terms of formula, please. Very full coverage, holy shit, very full, very, 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 very full coverage. I have used all of these foundations before, by the way. It's just like weird when you are comparing them all, you know, back to back. Also, do you love the sloppy foundation application underneath my eyes and everything? Because I do. So, Smashbox. Definitely on the yellow side. Once again, if you're going to be using this foundation, if you're like obsessed with the formula, you're probably going to want to use a concealer that's a little bit more on the neutral side, because when you apply it in these areas, it's going to just like neutralize that yellow a little bit more. But that's part of this whole process, is like making sure that you're using colors that are going to like kind of balance each other out so that you're overall creating the effect that you want. But you're not going to end up like, if you're using this foundation that tends to be a little bit more on the yellow side, you don't want to use a super yellow concealer, because then you're just going to look like a banana, you know? I'm really hoping that this video makes sense, because I just don't know. I started it one way and now I'm going in a different direction. And I don't know. Just don't know. Yeah, that's pretty yellow. But I'm going to show you a foundation that's like so yellow and you're going to be like, what? Like no one's this yellow. I just want you to know like the toll that my skin has taken today, testing concealers and foundations. And I have an event tomorrow. So like, basically I love you more than myself. That's all I'm trying to say. All right guys, next up is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation. This actually contains sunscreen. It's got SPF 15. This is in the shade 3.5 Fair. So this is a little bit more on the neutral side, but it's pretty close. This is, again, a slightly more thick formula, definitely more on the neutral side as far as color. As far as formula goes, I would probably compare it a little bit more to the Revlon Candid foundation. So once I start putting it down, I don't know how much this is going to pick up on camera. It looks much more neutral. It's got like less of a yellow undertone and more of sort of an orangey undertone. So I feel like you can kind of see that when I step back and you compare it to my neck, that it is a little bit more on the neutral sort of orangey side. It does look fine, like it doesn't look too bad, but if I was going to be using this foundation, I would probably want to use a concealer that's a little bit lighter and more on the olive side, slash more yellowy, because it's gonna help kind of like balance things out a little bit more. But it's not bad. It's funny because if you compare this to a lot of other foundations, like if you're someone who's more pink, you'd probably look at this and be like, holy shit, that's so olive, but it ain't. I can't wait to do like a sheet mask after this. Oh no, I don't think I have any. I done fucked up. All right guys, next up, I am going to be applying the IT Cosmetics CC Cream. This is in the shade Fair. Now, this sucks because I love this formula. It's like so full coverage and fantastic. And I really love it, but it's definitely way more on the neutral side. So I kind of just wanted to compare it so that you guys can see how it looks on very olive skin. I do really like it though. Like I just like it a lot and it's not terrible. But as soon as I put it down, I feel like you can see that it's like way too neutral, right? This color is going to be perfect for someone who has, you know, Katie, Lustrelux, formerly Lustrelux. This is going to be perfect. She has very neutral skin, very, very like neutral undertone. So these sort of colors are going to be perfect on her. But for us olive people, it just ends up making our skin look very pink, especially when everything comes together, including our bronzer and our blush and our concealer and our powders. So if you compare it to my neck, I think you can see what I'm talking about. If I was going to wear this on my face, I would want to use a very yellow concealer because it's gonna help kind of just like balance out how neutral this looks on my skin. If I go in with a neutral concealer, like say, I don't know, whatever, a neutral concealer, it just ends up making my whole face, like once everything is finished, very pink. I still like it. Like I still wear it every once in a while. It just doesn't like blend so perfectly. If you're gonna use a shade like this, you wanna make sure that you're taking it down your neck and then maybe even putting a little bit of bronzer like on your chest. It just helps to make things look a little bit more like seamless. 2 more shades. The next one is one that I have not tried yet. This is a new foundation from Maybelline. This is the Dream Radiant Liquid Foundation. This is in the shade Vanilla. and I think that it's gonna be pretty good, but I just wanted to like test it out and see if it's decent enough for us green people. It looks like it's gonna be maybe a little bit on the neutral side. I would compare it, ooh, it's very close to the Natasha Denona color, I would say. So this is my first time trying this foundation, so I'm very interested. I like Radiant. Radiant in the name is cool. Fuck. I'm out of MAC Fix Plus. Medium coverage, that's what it's supposed to be. Ooh. It's looking kind of neutral. Oh, it's actually really pretty though, shit. It's ever so slightly light. Ooh, I really like the formula though, holy shit. Do you like that just like line that I have going on up there? Listen, we got a lot of these to get through, okay? I can't be perfect. Okay, the formula is real fun. I enjoy that, it's super pretty. It's a little bit light, and it's definitely more on the neutral side, slightly. So if I was gonna use this, oh, it's a little too light, but it's like the closest one to my color and undertone. I would probably need to use a very yellow concealer that's a little lighter, and then I might have to go in on my bronzer a little bit more to make it like work. But it's not bad, and I really do like the formula. So I don't know if I would put it in like the best for olive skin category, but you know, we're not too far off. It's definitely not looking pink. That's a new guy, that's exciting. All right guys, next up is the L'Oreal True Match Concealer. This is in the shade Vanilla, W2.5. So this is one of the newer shades that they released. This is unfortunately a little bit dark for me, but I'm gonna show it to you anyway because the next one down, which was also a new shade, Warm Creamy Ivory, W.5, is way too light. So mixing these two is probably gonna be my best bet, but I wanna just show you this color so you can have like an idea of what like straight out of the tube it looks like. If I'm comparing it to another foundation as far as color, I would probably compare it to the Smashbox 1.05 foundation. Ooh, no, you know what? Just kidding. It's probably closer to the Benefit Hello Happy in number 2. Maybe like in between those two. Definitely a little too dark on the yellow side. So if I were to use this foundation color, I would need to use a slightly lighter concealer, and I would want it to be a little bit more on the neutral side to kind of neutralize that yellow. A little bit too yellow. There's like a disconnect between my neck and my face. You definitely can see, like I can work with it, but I gotta do a little bit of color balancing. All right guys, the last foundation that I wanna show you is just a frame of reference. It is way too yellow, and I wanna show you what this is going to look like on my olive skin so that you don't like make the mistake that I used to make. This is the Smith & Cult Weightless Veiled Threat Micro Blurring Foundation. This is in the shade 140 Warm. Do you see how yellow this shade is? This is the close, I think this is what I was matched when I went to their event. I was matched with this color. It is so yellow. And when I use it, when I have used it in the past, I have to use a very small amount of it and then use a very neutral concealer. But I just want to show you what this looks like. It's like so incredibly yellow. It's like the most yellow foundation I've ever seen. I really hope that this is like picking up on the camera the way I'm seeing it in person. Because it's like literally, I look like a highlighter. The formula is really nice though, just saying. The formula of this foundation is great. Okay. So hopefully you can see how yellow this foundation is. It is incredibly yellow. I personally don't think that this would like work for anyone unless you are like so like banana yellow. If I were to use, sorry, that was loud. If I were to use this foundation with a yellow concealer, I would literally end up looking like a banana. So when I do, like I said, when I do use this foundation, I have to use a very neutral looking concealer and then kind of like balance things out using my like a more neutral bronzer. That's really the trick. So I just kind of wanted to give you this as like a frame of reference of like what not to do. Like don't go in with this and a yellow concealer. Don't go too yellow. You're gonna look crazy. Should I just leave it like this while I like say goodbye to you? Cool, I'm going to. All right guys, so those are the best foundation. Like rude. Okay. So those are the best foundations that I have found for light to fair olive skin. Please leave me, oh, you know what? Honorable mention. One of the best ones that I have ever used is Revlon Colorstay in the shade Buff, but I don't have it. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to show it to you. But I would say that it's like right there, neck and neck with the Revlon Candid foundation. It's pretty full coverage and it's a really nice natural looking finish, so I definitely recommend checking that out. I think it's like 10 bucks or so. All of these foundations are going to be listed down below with the price, links to them, whatever. But yeah, as far as the colors go, these are the best ones that I have found for light olive skin. Please tell me in the comments down below which ones you think are best. Like if there's ones that I didn't talk about that you think I need to try, let me know. I am going to be filming another video showing you how to make any foundation work for your light ass olive skin. So watch out for that. I literally wanted to film it today, but I don't think my face can take any more. Also, I feel like I should take this off and do a mask and bathe in hydration. All right guys, so hopefully that was helpful to you. Again, let me know what your favorite olive light fair foundations are in the comments down below, and watch out for that next video that will be coming up. Hopefully I'll see you in that one.